Hey. It's amazing also that Safa did that on time, shooting and editing like a very fast seal with Dave on his timeline, chasing him like a great white shark. So,
it was remarkable.
And speaking of great white sharks, here's the eminent shark drawer.
Well, I'm the guy who drew the pictures, and David usually doesn't let me say anything when we do these gigs. So I'll be quick because we want to get down to talking about some of this stuff, and I'm going to draw the pictures over there. Just to say that the ocean is the ultimate downstream community. We talk about downstream communities in environmental sciences, and the big part of this book, the reason I got so excited about illustrating this book was that it doesn't matter where you live, even if you're in Omaha, Nebraska, you're still upstream of the ocean, and the things you do there will affect the ocean. So that's why I got excited about doing the book, and I think we're going to now say a few things.
Why'd I write 50 Ways? It's because people kept coming up and saying, well, it's interesting, climate change, collapse of marine wildlife, but what can I do? I've got, extra classes and the homework's killing me. I've got 2 jobs, or I have no job, more typically these days, family to raise, and how can I affect, global change like that? And the answer, of course, is that we're affecting it every day. Everything we do in our daily lives impacts the seas around us. And it's simply becoming conscious of our actions and making the right choices. And you find that when you make the right choices for the sea, they also tend to be the right choices for you in terms of your health, your pocketbook, your sense of well-being. So quickly, I just chose 5 of our 50 ways. And number 1 in the book, and number 1 to me, is go to the beach. Despite all the malls and shopping centers and theme parks, going to the beach is still the number 1 outdoor recreational activity for all Americans. And despite, overly regulated lives, it's still the one place that young people can go and be part of that wilderness, that be wild as their nature permits. So go to the beach and have that experience, that defining experience. Young people go there for the first time. They get caught in waves. They get the thrill of being part of something larger themselves. Just remember when you go there to, take only pictures and leave only sand, to pack out everything. You make sure that plastic bucket or those plastic fish beads don't get left behind. And maybe bring a bag and take away some of the plastic garbage you find there. Don't let your dogs chase the wildlife. Don't feed French fries to the gulls. Let them earn an honest living. Don't even jump off the dunes. It's great fun, but the dunes sort of and the dune grasses protect the shoreline. And so jump in a wave instead. And again, this is how we love. We protect the things we love. And I think everybody loves going to the beach. It's kind of like living the good old days in the here and now. Organic and vegetarian food. Why does that help the ocean? Because there's this huge nutrient pollution, which is nitrogen and phosphate coming from synthetic fertilizers that we dump on our industrial farms. So every acre of corn grown in Iowa, you put 140 pounds of synthetic fertilizer on it. And it's too much. It's a surplus. And all that surplus synthetic fertilizer follows gravity down through the watersheds and the streams into the rivers, down the Mississippi River. And every spring, with the spring floods, you have the second crop of algae. And the algae is fed by little copepods, and as it sinks in the water column, bacteria feed on it, and in the process, they're sucking the dissolved oxygen out of the water. They create a dead zone the size of New Jersey, and everything that can't flee dies on the bottom. And we're seeing the growth of harmful algal blooms all along our coasts, where you have this industrial farming, or where you have the concentrated factory farm. We grow 500 million chickens on the eastern shore of the Chesapeake Bay, and all that waste ends up going into the bay and creating these dead zones. So making the choice to eat organic, vegetarian, it's you support your local farmers, you shorten the travel space, the amount of fossil fuels being burned to get the food to you, and if it's local and organic, it's going to be tastier, it's going to be healthier. That grass-fed cow from Point Reyes, or the locally grown oysters, controversial as they are, very tasty, a lot better than something out of the supermarket. 3, conserve energy. Again, it's something we hear about, but not so much in relation to the ocean. And yet half the that looks delicious. Over half the energy we generate in this country is from coal-fired power plants. You're basically burning carbon. Now, they're talking about, clean coal, but I think that's a technology about as effective as low-tar cigarettes. I wouldn't bet our future on it. And meanwhile, we're putting out, coal-fired plants are putting out sulfur dioxide that creates acid rain, nitrous oxide that creates smog. It's the highest carbon emissions that create everything from rising sea levels to ocean acidification to bleached coral. And on top of that, it's an emitter of mercury, which is a neurotoxin that rains out over the oceans and works its way back through the food web to that swordfish steak you order at Red Lobster. So better you go eat lower on the food chain, someplace nice, sustainable, and delicious like the fish restaurant. Conserve energy is lots of ways. We talk about it in the book from insulating. You can take a bike instead of a car. You can insulate your home. Pull the curtains in the summer during the day so the heat doesn't get in. Open them at night. Reverse it in the winter. Close your curtains and to keep it warm during the day, or rather warm during the night. Open it up for sunlight during the day. Solarize the place. Use the EPA star utilities. Unplug your computer when you're not using it. All that. I guess that's the insulation R14 that Sherman's swimming back to his house with. R4 and simple things like a energy efficient dehumidifier in the house can make 68 degrees feel like 76 degrees in terms of the heat ratio. Everything, 1/3 of the of the carbon reduction can be done with conservation, and it all links back to the sea around us. It's insane when it's so ubiquitous. We forget plastic and rayon were only invented during World War II, when there was shortages of rubber and cotton. And rayon went on to, reach its apotheosis with the Aloha shirt. And plastic became ubiquitous. It's everywhere. Right now, through industrial overfishing for the global seafood market, we're taking about 100 million tons of living biomass out of the oceans every year. Every year we produce 200 million tons of plastic. If half that gets into the ocean, then basically we're replacing marine wildlife with polymers on a pound-for-pound basis. But even if 10% gets into the ocean, it's still going to, choke turtles. They mistake plastic bags for jellyfish, which is their favorite snack food. You're seeing in the Northwest Hawaiian Islands, you're seeing albatrosses dying from feeding pellets of styrofoam to their chicks, thinking it's food. And it's also worse than oil spills. Oil will eventually biodegrade. Plastics, polymers don't. They become this ubiquitous plastic dust in the ocean, which also acts as a toxic sponge. It absorbs other persistent organic pollutants like DDT and PCBs and brings them back up through the food web again. So it makes no sense. And what really makes no sense, I'm all for, Kevlar bulletproof vest and prosthetic legs and Apple computers. But half the plastic production in the world today is for single-use items. And so, aside from making your own choices like bringing the cloth bag to the supermarket, you also have to get political and support initiatives like San Francisco has banned single-use plastic bags, getting rid of the things that are destroying our planet that we all depend on. Somebody once said our economy is a fully owned subsidiary of our ecosystem, and our ecosystem is 71% salt water. The last item is to be a seaweed rebel. What I mean is marine grassroots. Citizens have impact. We had Margaret Mead 60 years ago who said, "Don't believe a small group of people can't change the world. Nothing else ever has." And so we're seeing that small groups of people dedicated to the ocean have created a new movement. Our T-shirt says, "Blue is the new green." And we're working, President Obama's established an ocean policy task force and moving forward very quickly to what they call ecosystem-based marine spatial planning. Essentially, the idea is the precautionary principle, do no harm. And we're beginning to see that there are ways that by not harming the ocean, by making the choices that are right for the ocean, we're going to guarantee a future for ourselves, our children, and our fellow critters from the deep lagoons. Of course, we can't all draw the solution, but that's what coalitions are about. Thanks so much.